who else do we have on the line?
We've got Earl from Hyde Park and Paul from Seattle.
Excellent. Cool. Let's go to Earl first. Earl, welcome to the show.
Earl.
Hey, Al. Thank you for taking my
Yeah,
call. And I'm going to try to
absolutely.
be brief. I know you have a couple of guys, but I like your program, and I always do. And well, my
Thanks.
question to you is I have been very disappointed with the left and progressive ability to debate the conservative craziness.
Mm-hmm.
And like what I'm trying to refer to was last night on Bill Maher's program in the panel discussion. You had Malcolm Nash on one side. You had a Jewish guy as the
Ben
opposing
Shapiro.
opinion, conservative, and then you had Bill Maher, who can, I think, sometimes can vacillate between left and
Well, he has to as the host.
uh,
That's the nature of the show. He literally makes his bones on his moral flexibility. That's the basis of the show. Is that if he sided either direction, the show's over. So vacillating is part of it. It's partly again what like Tim Pool has monetized on YouTube, for example, and that's they just there was a big article about him in the Daily Beast, and people have been talking about that. But that's the business model. Tim Pool's business model is the same as Bill Maher's in a lot of ways. But yeah, it was Ben Shapiro you're talking about.
okay. Okay, look, I've forgotten Shapiro's name. Now, I wasn't trying to be racial, ethnic, and
No, I understand.
pointing
Oh,
out.
of course not. No.
No, but I want to come back to it. And the reason why
Sure.
I mentioned that the fact that he was a Jewish guy is
Mhm.
because he tends to, during that program, support many of the right-wing crazy propositions out there, signifying that
Right.
he sees.
He's the guy defending
right.
in a lot of ways, defending the Charlottesville marchers, for example, on his show and through the Daily Wire
Right.
and through the Daily,
I
yeah,
I
it's
thought that
ironic
was,
beyond measure.
that was absolutely crazy because he was defending a group of people who, distinctly dislike his ethnic background.
Yeah,
And
they literally think they're taking over the world. They literally think that the very people he's defending, specifically, are the people who think that he is, just by the nature of him being alive and Jewish, is behind a giant conspiracy to wipe them, the white genocide in the United States and to replace them with Hispanic workers, and then I guess robots afterwards, or robots
Right on.
first. I mean, it's yeah. So it is incredibly weird.
yes, so that's what I was trying to get to was
Yeah.
my point in bringing this up is I don't think we do on the left a good enough job, even though John Stewart is gone. Uh, debating the right wing crazy because last night's program was very
Sure.
disappointing. Malcolm Nash, I don't think did a very good job pointing out the hypocrisy there, and I think we don't do a very good job in the overall media as far as left-leaning
Right.
progressives debating the right crazies on the right. So I'm gonna hang up on that, but that's not the point I wanted to try to make.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I think it is I think I do a fine job, but that's also why I never get asked on any of those debate shows because I'm too good at it. And quite frankly, there's for those shows to work. Okay, so for Tim Pool's show to work, for Bill Maher's show to work, you need people who, and I do love Malcolm Nance. I do think he actually did a great job, but you do need people who aren't the slam dunk most of the time. Occasionally, somebody gets on and they're like, they really power through it, and it ends up being a viral clip from it. But most of the show has to be about, well, I don't know, it's kind of a jump ball. And so you need people who aren't going to be there to spike it at the net. They're going to be the ones who just kind of keep the ball in the air argumentatively, so that ultimately Bill can be the one in his new rules or whatever to kind of put a pin in the idea, right? It's I was on Politically Incorrect back in the day. I was also, when they canceled the show and they brought back some of their favorite guests, The producers brought me back on for my second time on there. Was in the final days of that show, but it's and I don't think he was a fan of that fact, and it's one of the reasons why I've not been over the last few years on real time. Is that I don't jump ball on these kind of things, and so that is why, and I don't think it's the lack of ability of people to debate these issues. It's because of who ultimately gets booked on these kind of things are people who just lay back from the net and keep the ball in the air. As far as the argument goes, that's what it's for. So, and you set up Bill for the spike allegedly with his with the end of the show. Let him have ironically, I guess, the last word on those things. So that's why, by the way, it's the function of the show, and it's the same thing with Tim Pool's concepts. Is that it's all the show is all about keeping it a jump ball and the illusion of sort of libertarian laissez-fairness that goes, hey, we're just trying to be free, man. We're just trying to be free. It's all about freedom to be whatever. While under the guise, by the way, of having a political show that's talking about values or more importantly, tactics that functionally work, right? If everything's a jump ball, you never get to the tactical discussion. You never work on one, and you philosophically, if you're constantly punting it up and only talking about the extremes, you're never actually amounting to anything in that regard. And then you end up in a really weird
That's what they want.
Where,
they want so they can just keep it going endlessly.
That's right. It's nice to have another job, I have to say. As an actor and a comedian and a musician, I have other stuff to do. If we ever reach a point of sort of utopian, that I could easily shift my daily show to a daily version of I Love the 80s. I have no problem with that. You know what I mean?
I'm here for it.
We get humming. Why not? Yeah? But, that is one of the areas where, there's more of a discussion to be had about that ultimately, but that is what those shows are based on, is that's a jump ball show. Because it has to stay on. They got to always do it. It's different than a news organization, which can constantly roll in the day's news, right? And just talk about, if there's a slow speed chase or a murder case or blah, 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 all news can shift over and start talking about that. Online political punditry and these, Daily Show, John Oliver, Bill Maher, those kind of shows, they are predicated on that's the conversation. Oliver less so, because he can be comedic about policy and
he goes way
himself.
Back too. Like he'll pull things out of history too.
Yeah, you could make it a historical show and it's still funny. Yeah. But there you go. That's we have to. I'm going to take a break a moment early because we have another caller and I don't want to just give him a minute. I want to do it on the other side, and we were tighter on the break before the hard break.
And we're going to have to play the happy ending thing twice this time?
No. It's an ongoing, rolling happy ending.
All right, okay.
We know this. It's fine. We'll be back right after this. It's the Houseworks Radio program, mega worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT820.com. And program it into your car radio. You're driving around anyways. Put it in there. It's all your favorite liberal talkers are here. And of course, the House Parks Radio podcast, mega worldwide, is on the Sexy Liberal Podcasting Network. You can listen to the truncated short version on there. We'll be back.